Dear 11th graders, and welcome to the Digital Library Education Online. My name is Dr. Munca-Aftenev, and today we are going to talk about theater for development. It is said that young people are not very much interested in theater, so I hope today's lesson is going to show you a different way in which theater can appeal to you, young adults. Let's get started. Who do you think is the author of this quote? I love acting in films, but I definitely think that theater is something I'll keep coming back to in my career for as long as I can. And just to give you a few clues, I placed on the first slide 4 pictures of celebrities that you're all familiar with. So we have Daniel Radcliffe, that we know due to the Harry Potter books. We have Emma Stone, and we have Usher, the singer. So who do you think is the author of this quote? Daniel Radcliffe. In addition to his successful movie career, he is very passionate about theater and being on the real stage, as we say. And in addition to Daniel Radcliffe, we have a lot of celebrities, famous actors and singers and entertainers in general, who love acting on stage, whether it's a musical, it's a Broadway show, or a more traditional classical theater. Yes, you can see Ashlee Simpson and you see Emma Stone, P. Diddy or Puff Diddy, Jordan Sparks, and we have Ricky Martin, all these celebrities that we know that are very successful. They praise the quality of being on stage, and they really love this activity. Now, to make you even more curious, let's have a look at some very interesting theaters around the world. Have a look at these images. As you can see, the stage of this theater is literally located on water, and you can see how beautiful the decorations are and how interestingly they are placed again on the water. So what you can see on the first slide refers to the Seeburn Theater, which is in Austria. And by the way, this is a floating stage on the shores of Lake Constance with 7,000 seats, which is amazing. Since 1946, it has been used for large-scale opera or musical performances during the Bregenz Festival. I would definitely love to visit that theater. How about you? Another amazing theater. It's very similar to the one in Austria. We also have the water, but this time we have cliffs and we have a slightly different setting, but again, very, very interesting. So Minack Theatre in Cornwall, England is definitely incredible. And what makes this theater incredible is the amazing view of the Porchurna Bay alongside a live show in an open-air venue. Carved into the cliffs of Porchurna, this theater enables succulent plants to grow on the open cliffside, providing an added dash of color to the Minack all year round. So yes, it's a theater in the open air. It's located in the bay, and you are literally surrounded by plants and living nature. Isn't that exciting? Now, succulent refers to having thick, fleshy, water-storing leaves or stems, which means the plants are vital. They're not artificial, they're full of life. The theater enables succulent plants to grow on the open cliffside. Now, let's move on to some theater superstitions that I personally found rather amusing. Don't wear anything blue on stage. There's a saying that blue dye was very expensive back then, so producers discouraged performers to wear blue. As time went on, it has become a rumor that blue costumes were unlucky in the theater, but it has not survived as strongly as other superstitions. Now, another superstition states that it's not allowed to whistle backstage. In the good old days, stagehands whistled to cue each other for carrying scenery. A person whistled backstage could accidentally give a wrong cue to a worker who was lifting or dropping scenery, and that might have caused an accident, right? So, stagehands whistled to cue each other for carrying scenery. Stagehand is a person who works backstage or off-camera prep, airing or maintaining the stage or set for a recorded or live production by setting up and adjusting video, audio, and lighting equipment. So there is someone in charge of technical aspect of the performance backstage. And if these persons cue, right, or they whistle to offer cues, it means to signal, to suggest, to offer guidance. This is how they communicate. So of course you don't want to mix them up, right? You don't want to be sending wrong cues to the stagehands who are busily working on the stage. Another interesting superstition states that there has to be a ghost light on stage before everybody leaves. People working backstage say the ghost light, a small single bulb floor lamp shining on a dark stage at night, allows spirits to see or even perform on stage after all people leave the venue. However, the more logical reason, of course, nowadays, is to provide the light source in case someone still works on stage or backstage when the theater is closed. Well, I personally prefer the version with the light that is especially left for ghosts who might be interested in performing on stage. Another superstition, sleep with your script under your pillow. You know what a script is? So this is the text of the play, for example. So this practice is called memorize by diffusion. Yes, there is an official formal term for that. And it is said to help actors or actresses to learn the lines faster. Of course, scientists say no, but theatrical superstition says yes. I don't know, you might give it a try. If you have to perform in a play, you might want to put your script under the pillow and see if that helps you memorize the lines. Why not? All right. And now we're going to talk a different aspect of the theater that I'm sure is going to be appealing to you, young performers, possible performers, and young adults who make the audience of these special theatrical performances. We're going to talk about the theater and the social change. So theater arose in the ancient Egypt before 4,500 years ago and in Greece before 2,400 years ago on the basis that it is an education intermediate. That was the basic initial function of a theatrical performance. Aristotle argues, for example, that the purpose of tragedy is purification and the purpose of comedy is social criticism. So in the beginning, the theater was closely connected with the concept of social change as we understand it today. With the emergence of William Shakespeare that we are all familiar with, and his keen interest in issues of human self-imaging, his pain and anguish, theater became a reflection of the human fate, thus playing a new role in the social life. The theater became the center of the desired change in that period. And William Shakespeare is in fact very famous, mainly because he was a very good connoisseur of the human nature, and he managed to portray even the finest aspects related to our human values, human behavior, love, friendship, devotion, self-realization, all the issues that we humans have to face. And that's why Shakespeare is still very popular till this very day. Thus, from the history of the European theater progress, we can conclude that the theater and the social change have always been two sides of the same coin. The theater recreates life by rearranging art elements to be performed in front of viewers who will be guided towards the desired lessons to be learned. What does this mean, in fact? Let me help you out. Now, at the beginning of today's video lesson, I showed you a few images of famous people who love being on stage and who are very passionate about different forms of theater. Now the question is the theater only for famous people, celebrities, good-looking people? In the picture on this slide, you can see a group of high school students, just like you, who perform on stage, and you also see someone with special needs who is in a wheelchair. Another example is a group of happy teenagers who are preparing to be on stage or are discussing a play that has been performed. Another example is a good picture of teamwork, and I believe that they're getting ready for a performance. All right, and another example, we have a very close proximity between the actors, who also are teenagers, as you can see, and the audience. They are located very close to each other. They're clapping, and you can see how close the connection is between the actors on stage and the audience. So, theater for development is a type of community-based or interactive theater practice that aims to promote civic dialogue and engagement. It can be a kind of participatory theater that encourages improvisation and allows audience members to take roles in the performance, or it can be fully scripted and staged with the audience simply observing. I'm sure you are familiar with the term social theater that has been very popular in Republic of Moldova in the last couple of years. So thousands of organizations around the world, including Republic of Moldova, launched initiatives which have used theater as a development tool for education, raising awareness, as therapy, as a participatory tool, or as an exploratory tool for personal and professional development. So theater for development or social theater may encompass any of the following live performance types: spoken word drama or comedy, music, singing or dance, movement without sound that we usually call mime, and participatory or improvisational techniques. Theater for development or social theater endeavors to build awareness about critical topics: non-formal education, environment, women's rights, people with special needs, child abuse, street children, HIV or AIDS, health education, and literacy. So technically, theater can take any topic that is of importance to our community and put it in such a way that it teaches us a lesson or makes us think deeper about that particular issue. I'm going to show you a few more images taken from the theater that is usually performed on the streets, and it's usually done for people who would not normally attend a classical traditional theater, but at the same time I think it's a very good way of getting closer to people and actually make them think about the problems that we have to face. All right, this is another example of a theater, street theater by water. It's probably another bay. And this is taken from Mumbai, and as you can see, it's rather informal and people can walk by, and at the same time they can watch this performance, which is very colorful. Definitely attracts attention. So the street theater, or the invisible theater, can be performed in public spaces to be witnessed by passers-by. It's intended to be indistinguishable from real life, unstaged situations, so as to provoke thought or raise awareness among observing members of the public. Has the advantage of potentially reaching audiences who would never attend or watch a regular play. So, if you don't go to the theater, then the theater would come to you, which I think is definitely a very good idea worth exploring. Now, theater arose in the ancient Egypt. What does it mean? To arise, arose, reason means come into existence, originate, right? So rise, arise, these are synonyms. So theater came into existence, right, in ancient Egypt. Aristotle argues that the purpose of tragedy is purification. What does it mean to argue? We usually refer to argue as to having a, very heated conversation with arguments pro and against. But in this situation, to argue means to attempt to prove by offering reasons or arguments, to give evidence, to indicate, to maintain, right? It's not about fighting, it's more about making a point and bringing arguments. With the emergence of William Shakespeare, so emergence means beginning, growth, appearance, rise, surfacing, coming to light, so many synonyms. William Shakespeare and his keen interest in issues of human self-imaging. So keen interest means sharp, vivid, strong, intense, pungent, enthusiastic, desirous, right? Beautiful synonyms for keen interest. Human Shakespeare and his keen interest in human pain and anguish. Anguish refers to torment, pain, misery, suffering, anxiety, and distress. So William Shakespeare is a wonderful painter of human anguish, and in his plays you will find a wide variety of feelings that refer to anguish in many forms. Fully scripted and staged participatory theater. So script, it's the text of a play broadcast or movie, and in this situation we have a theater that is fully scripted. It means that it's written in every detail. It's not just an improvisation, it has a text as a backup, and you have to follow that text. So it's a professionally made performance based on a script. Street theater may encompass any of the following live performance types. Encompass means to include, to enclose, to address. Street theater endeavors to raise awareness about. So, raise awareness means to inform or alert the public about an important issue. Raise awareness, a very important expression. Street theater endeavors to build awareness. To endeavor means to attempt, to try, okay? And we can use endeavor both as a noun and as a verb. To endeavor, to attempt to try, or endeavor is an attempt as a noun. And literacy, the ability to read and write, or being knowledgeable in a particular subject or field. For example, cultural literacy or digital literacy, right? It refers to the ability to be knowledgeable in that specific area. I hope you found all these expressions really useful and they helped you understand the text that we prepared for you today as part of this video lesson. Now, let's go through a list of expressions that I want you to use next time when you refer to the theater, a play that you watched in the theater, or a play that maybe you performed it, type of whether it's street theater or it's theater for development or social theater with your colleagues from your high school, for example. In my experience, as far as I'm concerned, speaking for myself, in my opinion, personally I think, I'd say that, I'd suggest that, I'd like to point out that, I believe what I mean or what I meant is that. So these expressions are very easy and they will help you be more fluent in English. They will help you connect the ideas for the listeners and of course have a more coherent English, right? So in my experience, using these connectors definitely helps me be more fluent in English. As far as I'm concerned, the more interesting words I use, it's the better because people love listening when I bring in enough arguments. Speaking for myself, English is not a difficult language if you practice enough. And in my opinion, going to the theater is an enlightening experience. Personally, I think all the teenagers and all the students in school should be familiar with William Shakespeare and his plays. All right. And the last thing that I prepared for you today is a list of English idioms related to theater, idioms and keywords. So you know the word show, okay, which is the theater performance. And now we have the word stalls, which refers to the ground level. So we have the balcony and we have the upper seat, but you also have the stalls, which refer to the ground level in a theater. The circle refers to the upper level, and it's probably inspired by the shape of most theaters, especially at the beginning of time when they were created. So the upper levels were in form of circles. Opening night refers to the first performance, the first time when a play is staged, and it's usually very popular. And from what I know, the tickets are very expensive. Sold out. If there are no more available tickets, then we say the show has sold out. All the tickets have been bought. Take a bow means acknowledge the audience appreciation at the end. Standing ovation. So ovation is when you clap, when you praise the actors for their performance. So if it's a standing ovation, it means that everyone in the audience is on their feet clapping and cheering. So if a play was successful, then you can say that it ended in standing ovation. Everyone was excited about the performance of the actors. To wait in the wings. Someone is waiting for the opportunity to perform. So the wings are the separate sections of a stage, and usually the actors before coming on stage are waiting in the wings. And the last one, to be out of step. So this means that you're not in time with the music or that you're not keeping up with the other dancers, right? So you are out of step. So if we refer to theatrical performances similar to, for example, musicals, there is a lot of dancing. So if you're on stage, you have to make sure you're not out of step. So to conclude, theater through history had a great role on affecting people's lives by helping them to see the problems they faced more clearly. It became a tool to understand the real problems of our society and find an effective solution for them. Social theater of the 21st century tries to enable those who are marginalized by exploring avenues of potential action and create opportunities to take such action. It raises the level of awareness as well as contributes to the empowerment of all the members of the society. And last, social theater of the 21st century may mobilize people to take action in the progress of social and political change. And now, at the end, I would like to read this wonderful quote by Oscar Wilde. I regard the theater as the greatest of all art forms, the most immediate way in which a human being can share with another the sense of what it is to be a human being. So dear 11th graders, I know that teenagers are more into movies and probably reading, but going to theater is definitely an amazing experience, and I strongly recommend you to look at social theater as a good way to start becoming a true theater lover, just like celebrities at the beginning of today's video lesson. Stay connected, we have many wonderful lessons placed in our digital library. Take care, all the best.